Hello everybody, and welcome to another video on the Sidonics channel. Today we're going to be ranking all of the items in Chapter 6, Season 2, Lawless. So, before we get into anything, I'm going to explain our tier list. We have S tier. These are the meta guns. These are guns that you're picking up every single time, and they're being staples of your inventory. Then we have the A tier. These are also very close to meta guns. They're just not amazing, right? So while S tier guns, they're instant pickups, they melt people. The A tier guns are going to be just the supporting items that go behind that. And then B tier, these are the things that you pick up to fill up your slots after you have S and A tier items. C tier, these are items that you see on the ground. You may use early game. You may use just a tad bit into mid game, but outside of that, you aren't picking these up late game. D tier, you're picking these up to kill the guy that landed next to you, and then you're dropping it. And then we finally have the useless tier. This is for weapons that are poorly balanced, don't work very well, and for items that are just not good in any sort. Whether they have a direct replacement that's extremely, just better, or whether they just don't serve a purpose outside of a very niche area of the game. But other than that, let's get into the ranking. So to start off, we're going to rank the assault rifles. First things first, I'm probably going to put the burst assault rifle in S tier. It's very solid. Extremely solid weapon. It's essentially the modded burst assault rifle, but it's hit scan. So faster fire rate, extremely good long range, easy to play with because of the burst fire. All around, very good gun. And honestly, I'm not sure if you're going to like my other two assault rifle picks quite as much as this first one. So, second pick, I'm going to put the collateral damage assault rifle in B tier. And here's my reasoning. It's essentially the tactical assault rifle, but for SMGs, right? So instead of it being an assault rifle that takes pistol bullets, it's basically an SMG that takes rifle bullets, and that's not that useful. It can do okay in mid-range, but once you're going long range, you don't want this weapon at all. It has terrible drop-off, so when you're hitting people from afar, you're probably doing like 12, 15 damage. And the other issue with it happens to be it's just not a scoped weapon. If this was a scoped weapon, it'd probably be an A tier weapon, even with the damage fall off. But because it's not scoped and the bloom is pretty wide, it just has to go in B tier compared to the other assault rifles. And now, here's my probably most controversial pick, the Hollow Twister Rifle. This was meta last season. However, I'm going to put it below the Burst Assault Rifle because ease of use, right? So the Burst Assault Rifle is extremely easy to use, and it's extremely easy to hit 2 shots when you have your cursor on somebody. While the Twister Assault Rifle, you have to work a little bit harder to get every single bullet to hit. Not that I'm saying that either are bad. I think that they both are very, very close, which is why you can honestly put them either or, but my personal preference is going to be the Burst Assault Rifle this season. Next, we have the melee weapons. These are relatively controversial. I'm going to put the bat in probably A tier. It's free mobility. It's decent. The knockback is really good if you're on like a cliff or if you're trying to push somebody off the train. But you really can't jump into somebody's box and just expect to win with the bat. It's really just a mobility item with like a knockback hit. It's okay, but it's nowhere near the wind blade or the kinetic blade. So for that reason, it's going in A tier. Hey, just one quick segment here. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, consider doing it. I only have a 0.5% subscriber to non-subscriber ratio on YouTube. So if you could leave a subscription, that would really help me out. It would also mean that you get to see more of my content, whether it's tier videos like this or something more similar to what I normally do, commentary videos based on Fortnite. If you enjoy the game, just go ahead, give the video a like, and subscribe to the channel. If you like the video, if you have any suggestions, feel free to leave it in the comments down below. I read all of them. And other than that, back to the video. I'm going to have to put the gauntlets in B tier. Reason why, the mobility is not quite as good as the bat. Even if you slide out of the charges take really long to recharge. And honestly, the durability on these gauntlets is really low. Not to mention the damage. It's okay, right? Like, you can win fights with this thing, but it's really easy for you to get hit with a shotgun. So, for that reason, it's a B tier melee. Now, I'm not sure how controversial this will be, simply because the season is very early on in its development. But I'm going to put the sniper in useless tier. Even in Mythic, this thing cannot one-shot in zero build. So, it's not good. It does like 88 body damage, and I believe purple rarity. And it does like 101 in gold. It does 202 headshot, right? So it's okay if you hit your shots, but hitting your shots is going to be extremely difficult with this weapon. The fall off of this gun is similar to the hunting rifle, and nobody picked up the hunting rifle last season because of the insane fall off. And that's why you're honestly better picking up the Mammoth pistol, another S tier meta weapon. Reason why this is so great is, first off, you get the ability to do hit scan, sniper level damage, right? So, remember how I said this thing does like 88 damage? This thing could do that as well. But this can do it hit scan, any distance, and it's really quick to reload. So, overall, this is a great weapon. You could use it at close range. You can use it at long range. It's your go-to. If you like snipers, don't take this actual sniper, because it's really not that great. Take the Mammoth pistol. Honestly, this is probably one of the worst snipers ever. It has an extra zoom in scope, but if you're at a distance where you need the extra zoom on the scope, your bullet is not going to travel that far. So it kind of redundates its own unique feature. Anyways, on to the next pistol, C tier. Actually, yeah, C tier, right? So, like, you could pick this up early game, but you're not going to pick it up versus any of the things above it. It's okay. However, it's an early game weapon, right? You're not using it outside of the early game. Precision SMG. I'm going to put this right in front of the collateral rifle. It has a scope. It does similar things to the collateral. However, you could use it at a much longer distance. It uses light bullets, which is why I'm putting it above the collateral. But I also don't think it's quite as good as the rifles. And honestly, people aren't going to be carrying SMGs that much this season, just due to how powerful the rifle meta is. Next, we have the balls gun. I'm going to put the balls gun B tier, low B tier. It's okay, right? I have no issues with the gun. It's relatively balanced. I've never had a complaint with it, where somebody's just jumped into my box and sprayed me. But in order for it to really be usable, I believe it would need a tighter spread and possibly a little bit of extra ammo. I feel like I constantly run out of ammo with this thing, and it's okay, right? Like, I could use it early game, but late game, I want the pump. And the pump is going in high A tier. I'm not putting it in meta because it's not crazy, right? It's a good pump. Don't get me wrong, but it is nothing close to the Havoc pump, which was awesome. The Havoc pump was great. it's not close to that, which is why I'm ranking it A tier, because in the grand scheme of things, this is an A tier shotgun. All right, next, medkit. Medkit is going to be B tier. Bandages, D tier. Sticky grenade launcher, our next weapon. This one's a bit weird, but I'm gonna say C tier. It's not that great. It may be better in build mode. I haven't played too much build mode this season yet, but in zero build, this thing is practically useless. With the amount of mobility that people have, you can't get them to stay around long enough to get hit by either the explosion of this thing or by the actual projectile. So it's going in C tier. I would take it over the pistol, but honestly, it's like a vehicle destroying weapon only. All right, next we have thermite. This is an okay item. I'm going to put it in C tier. You can't really use it as a weapon, but it is a great car counter. So if you have it early game, really good for stuff like that. It's good for opening vaults, which the entire theme of the season is, but it's not good beyond early game. All right, next we have the Porta Barricade. This is going to go... I'm going to put this in B tier. And I think that this is just a better version of the cow catcher, which was extremely useful in the early days of zero build. And I think that this has more potential than what people give it credit for. Now, it's not an obvious carry, right? This is kind of like a mid-game thing you'd be carrying around with you. And honestly, it's just a little bit worse than the Porta Bunker, which I'm going to be putting high B tier. Because especially in zero build, this thing is great. You get cover. It's hard for people to jump up and attack you. You could use it to block things. It's extremely good. It's like building in zero build. All right, and now C tier. Actually, I'm gonna put this mid B tier. I think it's just above the balls shotgun, right? The bubble shield is really useful for taking vaults. It's really useful for the train. It's really useful for just being able to heal, right? But it's not nearly as good as just having a Porta Bunker. So that's why I'm putting it mid B tier. All right. Next, the scanner. That's going in useless. Again, as I said earlier, you don't really stick around in locations long enough for this to be like a super good item. It also doesn't have a large enough radius, right? Like if it scanned a whole POI, every 20 seconds, it'd be really good. But as of right now, it kind of just becomes invalid outside of the early game. Next, we have the laser rifle. I'm putting that in D tier. Its use, like you can use it, right? But it's not good, right? It's good for cracking open vaults, but you're not going to be using this in a combat situation ever. The explosions are too slow, and it doesn't deal enough structure damage for it to be viable. Next, we have the launch pad. This is going high C tier. I wouldn't carry these on me, but I like seeing them on the ground. Every time I see them on the ground, I'll throw them down. Very simple. Shockwaves, A tier. Their mobility. They're really good mobility. They're below the bat, but they're good. All right, next we have the med grenade. That's going A tier. These are useful to carry. They're good for healing your entire squad. The only negative to these is that you can see through them, so they're not useful as smokes. If they were actual smokes, they'd be really, really good. Next, we have the Gold Rush splashes. These are really good. It's essentially like this, but better. It does shield. It gives you the Gold Rush effect. It's A tier. Next, we have the Chug Jug. This is an S tier healing item. You can now reuse the Chug Jug. So you have a 200 Chug Jug, you take 50 damage, you use 50 of your Chug Jug. Great. It's like legitimately the best late game heal item, especially if you have the shield medallion. Extremely good. Mini shield. This is going high A tier, right above the shield bubble. Great to carry. Allows you to keep yourself mobile. Big shield. This is going I'm going to put this right above the Precision SMG, but below the Sub-Zero Mythic. Good to carry. You can only carry 3 of them, 150 shield, but you can get to 100 shield by drinking 2 of them. Outside of that, this is our tier list for the early part of this season. I will be back later with a revised tier list around the end of the season or possibly mid-season, but these are my thoughts on the weapons. Other than that, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you made it to the end. I appreciate all your support, and I'll keep making content. Stay safe. Goodbye.